Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Man Bites Film. This week we are actually going to be reviewing three films that came out in January 2017. So just introducing the new year type of thing, we're going to go straight into the films that are coming out currently on Netflix this month. The three films that I thought were the best of the selection that are actually coming out this month are the first one is Braveheart. This is a 1995 Mel Gibson film starring Mel Gibson, and it actually follows the story of William Wallace, which was basically he was a warlord, and he was fighting the crown of England, Richard I, and King Edward I. Sorry, Richard I is a Shakespeare play. So he actually faces off against Edward I, trying to fight for freedom. And he riles up this crazy group of people that are just freaking badasses. I mean, the guy that could throw a rock, and the movie kind of hits you in the head with these guys, how powerful they are, how badass they are, right at the beginning. And it throws you for a whirlwind right from the get-go with a love story, and the love story ends abruptly with a crazy event that sets Mel Gibson's character on this mission to fight against England and fuck you against the man type of thing. And he grabs his group of friends and grabs the villagers all around and inspires these people to go and rile up and build an army so strong that even the English king at the time is scared shitless of this guy. Alright? He institutes basically tactics from Europe, from the Germans, from the Italians, from the Greek. He studies all this stuff when he goes abroad from his uncle, and he learns all these tactics. So he puts them into play when he's in these battles, leading these battles against the English army, which is way more experienced, way bigger, and it's just impressive seeing. Any other army would have just been like, we're out, peace. He actually motivates these people in one of the most amazing speeches in film history, and he just riles them up and gets them going with the face paint. Everybody knows about the face paint of Braveheart. You see Mel Gibson with the blue and his skin color and just all dressed up ready for war. Everybody knows that image. It's an icon in film history because of how awesome the speech is that he gives during that scene. This film is filled with action, crazy violence, excruciating gore throughout the film. Mel Gibson is well known for his action war epics, and this is his masterpiece when it came to that. He literally had full final cut on the film, so he was able to put everything that he ever wanted in the film. The only other time he actually had that was Passion of the Christ, and you saw how that turned out. That was a huge box office hit, and it actually showed the true story of what actually occurred to the best of our knowledge. So this story is pretty much the same. The story of William Wallace defeating the English and his whole actual story made up by Mel Gibson and the writers, but it's dramatized for cinema. But to the best of our knowledge, these are the events that occurred, and it is awesome. So if you've never seen Braveheart, it's a 2.5 hour long war epic with Mel Gibson at the helm, and it is phenomenal. So if you have not seen this, please check this out. This is a must watch and easy access now on Netflix. So this is a 10 out of 10 film for me, plain and simple. Awesome film. 1995, again, Braveheart, directed by Mel Gibson, starring Mel Gibson. The next one that I want to go into is The Shining. Everybody here knows that I'm a Stanley Kubrick fan, and if you don't, now you do. The Shining is one of his many masterpieces, and this is a 1985 starring Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is basically hired as a caretaker of a haunted hotel, and Shelley Duvall is the wife of the crazy man, and the child that goes along with them is phenomenal. This kid plays this character that has like this second in this like third eye intuition type of thing, mystical element. I mean, it's Stephen King. It's based on a Stephen King novel, so that kind of explains it. It always has like this weird sci-fi phenomenon, mystical craziness involved in all his movies and shows and whatever. So it has that element in it, and it revolves around these ghosts that haunt the hotel and get into Jack Nicholson's character's mind and actually absorbs him, and he takes on the personalities of the ghosts and starts going crazy on his family because of his seclusion while caretaking for this hotel that's up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. And after a certain point, you're literally 3 months of solitude with your family. And take it for a person that's been married, I can only imagine how god awful that must be. Being stuck with the same people for 3 months and that's the only face that you see. That's gotta be pretty bad, especially at this point in their relationship that they're just falling apart. So it makes things so much worse, and it escalates his mentality to be able to be absorbed by these ghosts. So this film is Stanley Kubrick. Again, the guy is a freaking masterpiece. Like, he is a walking masterpiece. Anything that he touches is gold. His cinematography, his music selection, his editing, it's all on point. I mean, this guy literally has these dissolves that fall into each other so perfectly, and it gives you little hints throughout the film. I mean, there's whole documentaries made on the secret messages about this film. It is so good. Room 237, if you have not seen, is also streaming on Netflix. After watching The Shining, watch Room 237. It is awesome, and it gives you these crazy insights to this film, and you're like totally blown away after watching these two things together. It is so good. This is another 10 out of 10. Actually, this Christmas I got an awesome freaking present for my girlfriend that was it was on point, and I loved it. It's this basically like memorabilia of The Shining, and it's just so freaking cool. I just had to bring it up since I was bringing up the film. And this film, it stands as one of my top 10 favorite films of all time, so this definitely gets a 10 out of 10. If you haven't seen it, it's a great disservice to yourself. You have to watch this movie. It's not a kid's film by any means. It's a horror film, and it's a strong horror film. If you're not into ghosts and all that stuff and superstition, then it's definitely not a movie for you, but it is a very great film. So please enjoy and watch this movie whenever you get a chance. The third and final film that I want to review for this week is Vanilla Sky. This is a 2001 Cameron Crowe film. It's a remake of a Spanish film called Abre tus ojos, and it actually stars Abre tus ojos stars Penelope Cruz. So does Vanilla Sky, acting as the same character, which is actually pretty cool. And then it has, everybody knows what's his face, Tom Cruise as the main character, and it also stars Kurt Russell and Jason Lee, which anybody that's a Kevin Smith fan, you know who Jason Lee is, and you love him. So this is psychological thriller, I guess you could say. It's sort of a mix of Beauty and the Beast with like The Man with No Face, I guess you could say. It's this guy that he is an executive for a major company and all that stuff, and he is basically a playboy. I mean, the guy is like Batman, just without the cool awesomeness to him. He's just a douchebag. So he basically gets into a car accident with a crazy ex-affair girl that he's having. It's an odd thing. The crazy bitch ends up getting into a car accident and throwing him off a bridge. He barely survives, and his whole face is scarred up, and he literally looks like the Phantom of the Opera. He even wears a mask to cover up his face. And he starts going through all these procedures and all this stuff to try to correct his face, and he starts losing his mind little by little. So the film takes a psychological thriller approach, and I don't want to give too much away because it has a lot of twists and turns. And if I say anything really, it's gonna really, kind of kill the whole film for you. So basically, it's needless to say, it is him following and trying to figure out what's going on in the world, what's real and what's not, because he's losing grips of everything that is real and everything that is not. So it's him trying to grasp reality, and with Penelope Cruz in the background as the protagonist, which is pretty freaking cool. So please check this one out. Again, this is another great film. I give this one a 7 out of 10. If you have access to watch the original Abre tus ojos, that is a 10 out of 10 film. It is phenomenal. It's a lot less sugar-coated than Vanilla Sky. It kind of leaves it open for interpretation, which is awesome, and I love that in a film. This one, Vanilla Sky, kind of spoon feeds it to you for an American audience, dumbs it down a lot. So, whichever way you like your films, you have two options too, and one spoon feeds it to you, the other one doesn't. Both have phenomenal acting, both have phenomenal editing, cinematography, everything is great. Both are just great films all around. Cameron Crowe is a phenomenal director. One of my favorite films of all time is Almost Famous, directed by Cameron Crowe. So he is a phenomenal director. Anything that he touches is gold for me. So please check these 3 films out that are currently streaming on Netflix in January. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Man Bites Film, and I'll see you guys next week.